Hi, welcome to the Frank Prince Show. I'm your host, Frank Prince. Little shout out from my last week's guest, Carol Klein from Our Heroes Night Out. Thank you so much for being on my show. Today, I have with me from Madhouse TV, also a singer, from the Martini Garden Show, Corrine Lopiano. No, Christine.
That's okay.
Christine Lopiano.
Yes,
All right.
Christine. Yep. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on the show.
Appreciate it.
So, I understand you started singing at 2 years old.
Yeah, around there. I mean, I was singing little songs in my crib. My parents used to tell me.
That's how you got into it?
Somewhat. It also started, too, when I was in second grade. I had a teacher that was very instrumental, and her name was Mrs. Serlin.
Okay.
And I sang at a second grade pageant, if you will. I grew up in the Bronx. And I sang This Land Is Your Land as a solo. And she said, wow, you can really sing. Previous to the solo she had given me, she was like, and she told my mom. So that's really where the seed was planted. And then I've, throughout my life I've gone. And then elementary school, fourth grade, my teacher, Mr. Haniotis, he wanted to give me voice lessons. And so it started there, second grade, then fourth grade. And I think it's really important and for teachers to do that, because then they inspire you to achieve something.
Right, correct.
That you never realized that you can achieve. And so that's how it kind of began. And my parents were very supportive and helpful, and obviously letting me have lessons. They really tried to push piano too, but I don't know, for some reason it wasn't clicking with me, and now I want to kick myself, because now I'm like, I'm going to learn this.
Right. And what was it like growing up, doing that and schoolwork and different stuff?
It was like part of my life, really. It was, after a while it just became, I remember my first little solo in fourth grade, the Christmas song, actually. And I remember being scared to death. But, we did it, and it was done. And then year after year, chorus and whatever, it got better and better and better. And I did those Suffolk County music festivals. And I had a solo there once. And then I went on to college, and I sang at Suffolk College. And we sang with Rosemary Clooney and Andy Williams once,
Wow, okay.
which was kind of neat. We didn't really get to meet them or anything. We just, sang with them in the chorus. And so we did really, really neat things like that.
You also sang at the World's Fair?
The World's Fair.
With a band?
With a band. It was a division of Boy Scouts. And, I have to give it to my mom. She really found some really cool things for me to be able to do, since she knew I loved to sing. So it was with the Boy Scouts. We met at the Babylon, near the Babylon train station, like once a week, twice a week, and each summer they would take a tour. We'd go on a tour bus. And I was in high school. I didn't know anything from nothing. I'm like, okay, tour, you pack a bag, you go. And then you go to these unbelievable places. We stayed at Tulane College once. We toured Tennessee. And then we ended up at the World's Fair. And I knew at the time when we were singing there, I'm like, this is going to be something that I'm going to look back on. Is going to be very, very instrumental and just so memorable in my life. And it sure is now. To say that, I was able to do that, it was really, really, really neat. When I sang, little blues, show tunes, we dressed in these character shoes, and we did little dance. Think about it now, it was kind of funny, but it was really a neat experience to be able to do that.
What was the feeling like to do it?
I think now, if that was me now, I'd probably be more like excited about it. Then it was just like, oh, yeah, I'm doing this.
Yeah, it's, it's good
like,
to do.
I guess because as a kid,
Yeah.
you take things like that for granted and you just do them. And you're like, yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Yeah, that's part of your life, But I always said as a youngster, I said to my mom, I remember this very extremely well, because my mom said to me, oh, my friend wrote you a song, so you can sing of your own. and it said, it was a song, and it's Christine, My Queen, and it was to the tune of Michelle, My Belle.
Okay.
I said, Mommy, this is and I was very young at the time. I said, Mom, this is a really nice song. And this is before I was in high school. I said, but I need somebody to write me songs. That's what I told her. And then, I think I was like 12 or something. And then how many years later, I meet my husband, fast forward to now. Well, actually not now, but like 10 years ago when I met him. And he writes songs.
And he writes.
And that's how the band that I'm in, that I based my show off of.
Did you ever stop before? Like, when
Was
you
there
were
a break?
break time and, you were kids
Yeah.
back then and...
Yeah, there was definitely, it was pretty continuous. I had a stint where I moved to Florida once for like a year. I did some commercial work
okay.
and stuff. I always sang and stuff with church, but never really like a lot of what I'm doing now. And then I came back to New York, and then I got very involved with my church, St. Peter the Apostle in Islip Terrace.
Okay.
And I started cantoring at that church. It's a Catholic church, and what you do is you lead the congregation in song. I remember the first time, I was very scared. The director had asked me to do this, and I was like, okay. And, the first time you do anything, you're like really nervous. You're like, I don't know if I could do this. But it gets easier and easier and easier as time goes on. And, the congregation is very forgiving. And, if you miss a word, they're not going to kill you. But so that's how I kept it up. And then, I got to meet Jim. And then we, in '98, and then he said, I write songs. But there was a time when we had our kids that we just played at home.
Okay.
Before we started our band, and because my kids are now 12 and 10. And, you have to enjoy, and you're so busy with them being infants and toddlers and running around with them. I love singing and playing, and so we'd play at home, and we'd do a little recording or whatever, just playing around with some stuff. And we built up our repertoire, and just in time to move when my son was like less than a year, and come to meet our neighbor who plays drums. And then that's how our band was born. And he's still part of us today.
And how long has the band existed?
Since 2007. We started together, and we had our first gig at this coffee place that's no longer there. It's a bagel place now. And we invited everybody we could think of. We mixed his originals. It was like one of his first times playing, and he was very nervous, but now he's better. And we also did some open mics at Acoustic Long Island, which is now live at Deep Wells. And we tested our music there. You get to do one song. You sign up, like you get there at 6. You sign up to make sure you're there. And then you go on, and they tell you, and they introduce you. And, and you get to try out your music in front of people that don't really know you. And so we had, really good response. So then we stayed with it. And then we built up this repertoire of music, in which we do covers too, but we do mostly originals.
Right.
So that's quite challenging, playing here on Long Island when there's so many tribute bands, which are wonderful. I love them. I go to see them all the time.
And when do you find time to practice?
We have a guitar. We have a guitar set up at the house, and a piano, which I just started to introduce myself to with his music. And I broke out yesterday for the first time live in front of friends and family, thank goodness, because, it wasn't the best playing, but it was decent. And we play just about every day. We play our music and practice covers. And as a matter of fact, yesterday we were on with Mark Klein, his blues show on WUSB Stony Brook in the morning. And so we played a little bit of our originals on his show there. And then we were blessed to go to the pediatric floor and play for the children. And for that, you have to do covers, obviously, because you want to please and cheer up the children that are there. So we did Over the Rainbow, we did a little Elvis, we did Let It Be, Beatles. So we learned a whole bunch of other music. And, but you have to play every day, all the time. And a lot of times our kids will say, can you guys, be quiet now? I'm like, okay, shut everything off and, do.
What is basically acoustic music?
It's basically just an acoustic guitar, which is different than electric. Electric gets plugged in. And forgive me, I'm probably making it very
people
simple.
at
But
home
I
that
don't
don't
play
know.
guitar. I'm not pretending to
Right.
know much. But the way I see it as a novice, my husband has this acoustic Taylor that he'll take
Right.
out.
Okay.
He still plugs in, but it's a gentler sound than electric, where you're like riffing and doing leads and you got the drums going. So it's a little more toned down, and it's used, I find, in spaces that are smaller. Like we played at Crazy Beans, which is a great supporter of original music. We played there last night, and we have done electric, but we
Okay.
did acoustic because our drummer wasn't there.
Okay.
So my bass player had his acoustic bass, and Jim had his acoustic guitar, and you still set up mics, you still set up a PA. It's just a quieter experience than like a
Yes.
bigger venue when you have those. And I'm finding sound is very important. Not only important,
Yes.
but hard. It's like the science, like, because sometimes you'll be like, oh wow, that sounded really good, and even my friends and audience members will say, wow, we could hear you today singing, and some days you can't. So
Right.
you're like, well, what's different? And there's levels, and Jimmy Hughes is awesome at that.
Yes, he is.
And I don't pretend to try to figure. I do the best I can. I did okay. I have a little board yesterday with acoustic. I was able to, work it out.
There could be people watching that don't know what acoustic music is.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I asked.
Oh,
that.
no, it's fine.
And, today, years ago, we didn't hear that. It was all the metal bands, this band.
Yeah.
Today, it's like this big on Long Island. You go to this, venue and you hear acoustic music, open mics.
Yes.
And it's taking off because a lot of people are doing it.
Well, it's on the radio now.
It is. It
Think of
is.
Mumford and Sons and Philip Phillips, and you hear music that you've never really heard before on the radio, on your mainstream radio. I love it. I like my electric. I like that too, but I like the variety
It's a
of it.
change-up.
Yeah.
You could change things around.
Yeah, I really like it a lot.
Like you could go on iHeartRadio, have your
Yes.
favorite station, acoustic, and
Yes. Well, we have a Pandora station.
Pandora. Yep.
Yep. You can in Pandora you can type in Martini Garden, and then a bunch of music will come up that's similar to our sound. And it's kind of cool. And what's neat about that, it's like a radio. You'll hear our stuff, but there's other stuff that comes in. You can't program it. It just
No,
plays.
it just keeps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the XM radio.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to pay for it.
And
That's
Cyber
even better.
FM too.
Yes.
They're awesome. They're wonderful, and they have a bunch of listeners too. So.
And how can anybody get in touch with you?
Well,
for
we have
bookings?
we have a Facebook page, Martini Garden on there. We have Twitter. We have a Martini Garden website. However, I think it needs to be updated and fixed. But my email's on there also. But I check Facebook all the time. And we're going to be involved in this project out west in Malvern to build up a farm.
Oh, wow.
Well, they're building it up, but we're going to be the music part of it.
Okay.
April
Yeah.
19th. It's called Crossroads in Malvern. So that should be kind of fun.
Anything else after that?
Yes, we are going to be in an indie festival March 22nd. And I'm not exact. We put everything on Facebook.
Okay.
And Reverb Nation also.
Do you have a website?
Yes, Martini Garden.
That's
.com.
that's interesting.
It has
You
all the
know.
links on there. We're part of Long Island Blues Society.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, and
Okay.
we'll be back. And relax your slacks and release your sleeves. See you in a bit.
Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Dow. We have a multidiscipline practice in Melville and Ronkonkoma, New York, and we treat patients with many, many different conditions, from newborns through geriatric patients with numerous different techniques. There's a technique and a type of treatment for every class of patient. We have them all here. Here's my son Thomas, also a doctor of chiropractic, working on one of our patients' cervical spine. This patient has had chronic neck pain for many, many, many years, has been to a multitude of different practitioners with little or no response. And with our specialized techniques, she has improved tremendously and continues to improve on a daily basis. We have two practices, one in Melville and one in Ronkonkoma, New York. We are a multidiscipline chiropractic office. What that means is we have chiropractors, massage therapists, acupuncturists, psychologists, all working as a team and a network of outside professionals such as orthopedists and neurologists that we work hand in hand with to help determine what your injuries are and the best way to treat your injuries. I have the great pleasure of having my son in practice with me. We work hand in hand, father and son, to give our patients the best care possible, and a staff which is loving, caring, and you'll never have to wait at all in our office for service.